So you have to ask yourself a question, marrying on to what he's saying, how did they miss that? And when you get deeper into the science, you can actually find out. So, you know, we have these varying races, but let me say something about this. Because we're having a scientific discussion, but we're also having a spiritual discussion.
That's right.
When we are looking at why they behave like they behave, innately, I'm not talking about adapting to behaviors because of environmental circumstances. I'm talking about an innate natural inclination to be parasitic. That's because they don't belong here and they will not be here forever. They're a temporal being on this planet and they're dying off. Now the beautiful thing about us is we have the basis to stay here forever if we live in accord with our culture. So this is why we talk about our history so much, because we have enough evidence that our people live within their culture, and if we can study our history, as I said in the debate, we can become now historians. History means nothing unless you can live it now.
Right.
Why read a fucking book if you can't implement it? It's gonna frustrate you.
And now when you also look at it in terms of us being children of the sun, take into consideration that if you go into the statistics, they'll tell you 90% of what they call Americans are vitamin D deficient. And we understand that blacks would make up about 14% or less of the population that they call America. Now, when you say 90% of who they call the American population is vitamin D deficient, what is the primary source to generate vitamin D? The sun. Now, what is one of the most exponential roles that vitamin deficiency allude to? Depression, anxiety, stress. Now we know depressed, stressed, and over-anxious people tend to commit crimes or become a burden to those who love them and a burden to themselves. Now these tendencies, well, it will have to correspond with the inability to stay or being before the sun or before the presence of the sun. So now we take in consideration that that which is vitamin D deficient has a natural correspondence to anxiety, stress, and anger. We're gonna let that go by.
Yeah, I know.
When you take into consideration who and what we call the white man, if he or she cannot be in the sun, if they can't be in the sun, then naturally they will have to be vitamin D deficient. And if naturally they have to be vitamin D deficient, then you're saying damn near a whole race has it in them to be over anxious, stressed out, depressed, suicidal, right? And then I say to the black folks, why you seem so shocked about who and what they are or what they do? It's not even in them to get that which they need to maintain emotional stability. And now you got to look at the eyes. If they're melanin recessive eyes, right? It's true. If you cut the cranium in half, you see the eyes are connected to the brain. The eyes are connected to the brain. Blue being the fastest color in the color spectrum, meaning it's illusion. If you take that into consideration, if the eyes are connected to the brain, then their perception will have to be compromised. You understand what I'm saying? If they got melanin recessive eyes and the eyes are connected to the brain, then their perception is compromised. So this construct that they created in society wouldn't be conducive for us as a melaninated people.
Let me ask you this, man. One thing I noticed, brother, y'all two brothers, y'all deal with science, y'all scientists.
Right.
There's no book that could stand up to y'all two, from the Quran or the Bible, because they don't go back far enough. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Imam Bashir.
Don't get
You know, he deals with the Bible. He deals with the Quran.
I deal with the Quran too.
I deal
I
with
deal
And he
with the
deals
Quran.
with the Bible.
I deal with all books.
These are baby books, though.
Yeah, well, you know, let me say something. They're baby books depending on who you are. Because there could be a quality of knowledge in a book that you haven't been exposed to. That if you shoot the book down, you're actually shooting down your own intelligence, because the book can have something in it that you don't have that can benefit you. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. We got a lot of indigenous women, black women walking around here, right? Black women lead the world in hysterectomy. You know what a hysterectomy is, right? That's snatching your uterus out. Literally. So now what happens after that uterus is snatched out? I'm gonna make a point. I'm coming to this point. After it's snatched out, there's a company. It's a Fortune 500 company called Life Bank USA. Right. They buy the uteruses, they buy cord blood, they buy that stuff.
This is true.
And who do they sell it to? They sell it to Celgene.
Yeah.
Celgene is another Fortune 500 company that deals with organ regeneration, primarily for old white people.
Right, this is true.
So now you have black women walking around with Snap, Wick, and all types of welfare in said poverty, but they're feeding Fortune 500 companies.
That's right. This is true.
Now, the Quran or the Bible or some ancient